Good evening. Good evening. It's 15th day of July. It's July 15th. We're halfway through. It's a Monday night, and man, I feel like I just saw you last night. Of course, I didn't. I couldn't go live from home if I tried because I still have an OBS problem over there. But Saturday night we were together, did a little bit of a emergency broadcast. Tonight's show is going to be a one-topic show. Living through interesting, historic, crazy, effed up times. And I'm going to be leaving the lines open all night. I've got a line that's going to be designated to the general audience. There might be a chance that some friends of ours pop in, pop out, who knows, over the course of the 2 hours. If we don't get everything covered, I will stay for a little bit of overtime. I've got things that were submitted to me. I've got interesting emails. I've got, I don't know, this and that. And we also have a vice presidential pick in J.D. Vance, who admittedly I really don't know too much about. And I don't know. Nobody would listen to me anyway, but it does. I'll see what you guys and gals think about that, because I have seen a mess of opinions that have gone completely across the spectrum, from great to meh to shit. And if you ask anybody that's reporting for the progressive media, they're all shitting their pants. They say it's an authoritarian nightmare. It's like you don't know. Based on their opinions, based on the way that they react to everything, you think it's going to be great. Because honestly, that's how low the bar is right now. Do they hate it? Okay, let's roll with it for a little while. To hell with it. So tonight we're going to be taking calls. The number that you're going to be able to reach me at is 914-369-1236. 914-369-1236. Real quick, I recorded a show with Jeremy Ryan Slate today. That should be out on Wednesday. It was a lot of fun doing that with him. Tomorrow we have Harrison Smith on with us. And I also record a show at noon with Dave from the X22 Report. One hell of a week to link back up with Dave after a few years, huh? So see where that all goes. And we've got a short week. It's going to end after Thursday night, but every night is going to be a good one. And tonight it's all yours. I have so much stuff that we can get through that I can talk about in between calls. So let's get it done, shall we? That's all I have for you. Remember, if you want to contribute to the show in any way, shape, or form, especially if you want your comments read on air, then please, by all means, just go and drop a super chat at quitefranklysuperchat.com. That's for everybody. We'll be right back. Share it out live.
This is Max N. Caparato at 12,060 feet. You can get as high as I am by watching the Quite Frankly podcast.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's roll!
All right, so we're just jumping right into it tonight. I need all the 2 hours, and I want you guys and gals to be involved as much as possible. So it's 7:04 p.m. Welcome to the show. That was the briefest pre-show that we've had in about a decade. All right, so let's just jump in on a little bit from the mainstream media, how they're handling this all, okay? The assassination attempt on Saturday afternoon. Let's just go to the ABC. Why do I pick the ABC clip we're about to watch right now? Because George Stephanopoulos is in it. And remember, he was given a new script. You remember the whole, we were saying, well, you got to give him a little bit of credit for going after Biden. But can you? Because anybody could have sniffed Biden out for the rest of the world years ago if integrity was really something that the media cared about or anybody that works at those networks actually care about. But that's not what's going on. This is a new script he's running. He has no mind of his own, and he's just doing what the company and the larger coven wants him to do. Now here he is over here helping his other old, who the hell, I forget what this woman's name is. But they're essentially victim blaming. Typical abuser mentality, look what you made me do. Here you go. This was by way of Memology 101. Take a listen.
No matter who the shooter, what the shooter's motives were, no matter who the shooter is, you are going to hear conspiracy theories going forward.
Oh, yeah. And let me just stop right there. All over the place. Okay? The same group of nincompoops that said that $1 billion that was charged to Alex Jones's account, his tab, wasn't enough, that they wanted his equipment, they wanted his studio, they want everything else. These people, my gosh, do they love conspiracy theories. Every leftist registered nurse that supposedly works on Twitter is like, he didn't get shot. There's no bullet. Nobody died there. I'm telling you. Now, there is plenty to theorize about. There are plenty, huge gaps. But, of course, that's not what retards care about. Retards care about the fact that now Trump, who they have endangered, and people and anybody who is in close proximity to him or anybody who expresses any kind of favorable sentiment about him, they have made life pretty dangerous in many ways over the years. They don't like the fact that there's a martyrdom that could be seized upon right now, which we'll get around to. I think that's the most incredible thing. But yeah, conspiracy theories abound, and most of them are coming from the left.
No question about that. But as you point out, those statements from J.D. Vance and Vivek Ramaswamy, of course, President Trump and his supporters have contributed to this violent rhetoric as well.
Well,
it responded, I'm sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely, George. We were just looking back this morning at some of the things that former President Trump has said. He warned last March of potential death and destruction if he were charged by the Manhattan District Attorney. Our country is being destroyed as they tell us to be peaceful. Trump in January warned of bedlam in the country if the criminal charges against him succeeded. And of course, in March, he said, now, if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole. That's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country.
Of course, leaving all the context out of the statements, they went up there a day after somebody almost shot the back of his skull off, and had a prepared list of all the things he did. Look what you made us do. Well, I mean, it's your fault. And they went back like listening to a time capsule. One day there's going to be a bloodbath if I don't win. That's going to be up there on Snopes 8 years from now, just like the very fine people thing is finally settled on, even though, that's been dusted off lately, too, out of desperation. That's what ABC's been doing. Okay? Now, speaking of real quick about new media, I just want to say again, just because things are, I don't know. It's a mix. The energy is really, really mixed up right now. There is excited vibrational energy. There's this low frequency stuff that's going on, but it's tense. And I don't know, it's still very, it's exciting as well as it is nerve wracking. And I don't know. It's an interesting mix. I'd love to hear what you guys and gals have to say about that. But the one thing is that's going to affect the way that new media is able to carry on. It's going to be a different year. 2024 is going to be a lot different than 2020. With the purges, obviously, if the YouTube is still in play for this show somehow, and for as long as it's around, I'm going to try to make the best of it and reach as many people as possible. But I just wanted to let you guys know, especially if YouTube is the place where you prefer watching every night at 7 o'clock, do not fall out of touch. Any night could be our last night over there. Always remember to go to quitefrankly.tv at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. on any broadcast night that we're not live. Maybe I took a night off and you didn't hear the announcement. Who the hell knows? But don't let YouTube or Twitch be an indicator of whether or not the show is on that night or whether I took a permanent vacation. You got to go to the website or, have a secondary subscription on Pilled or Rumble, whatever the hell it is. Do that for anybody that you follow. Do that for everybody, because who knows? The year is just really getting ramped up. And speaking of, on YouTube, I have a poll right now I want people to get into. There's already 351 votes. Where does it go from here? Where does it go from here? Do we have a period of calm, which culminates in a Trump win? Do we have more chaos, which culminates in a Trump win? Do we have more chaos, which culminates in a rigged election? Or other, which you can go and click that and put it in the comments after the show, because we need some comments in that comment section after the show. 8% of people said other so far. I can't wait to see what the hell they say. But 54%, as of right now, say more chaos and Trump wins. Okay? Now, it can go a variety of different ways. It really can. I mean, what if this was meant to set up a retaliation? What if this was a way of getting rid of Trump and Biden? Did you ever think of that? Oh, man, what's coming out of that part of Pennsylvania is just insane. But the line is open. The line is open now. Officially, it is open. 914-369-1236. And we're going to just keep sifting through things along the way. 914-369-1236. And there you have it. Now, I know that there was one interview that was given to the New York Post or the Post on Sunday that he's supposed to be dead. A grateful Trump, told the Post on Sunday he's supposed to be dead, and recalled a harrowing moment that a would-be assassin shot him at Pennsylvania campaign rally. The former president shared a very surreal experience that nearly ended his life during an interview aboard his private plane en route to Milwaukee, the GOP National Convention. The doctor at the hospital said he never saw anything like this. He called it a miracle. And Trump, who was sporting a large, loose white bandage that covered his right ear, his staff insisted that no photos be taken. I'm not supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be dead. I'm supposed to be dead. Now, lots of theories. Lots of theories, because we are at a low point in trust in everything. Very, very big low point. And what do you think? Now, here's the other thing I want to ask you guys about, because there's a lot of talk about divine intervention. Well, I don't really go and play with the divine intervention thing about stuff like this. I guess you can say on Trump's behalf, that is a personal miracle, but somebody else died. I would hate to have divine intervention be that God wanted the bullet to miss one person, kill your father, just so that the election can be won. I very, very rarely play with that game. But it is an incredible odds. And I'd have to imagine that this would inspire a little bit of contemplation about the great beyond. Do you think, because, Trump he's not the most pious person on earth. He's a politician. He understands he's a large Christian, mostly evangelical base. Do you think that this would actually inspire a real religious alignment for Donald Trump? Do you think that that's possible? I'm sure that he's seen enough along the way where maybe he's given that more and more concentration, maybe a little bit more attention. But when you are millimeters away from the lights going out because of this, do you think that inspires a real religious realignment? That's an interesting question to work with. Let's take a call. 269, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Frank. This is Space 5D.
Hey, what's going on, man?
Hey, so I wanted to call in. This is like the second time I've ever called in, but I think when you say if there's going to be more chaos going forward, I think people need to kind of describe or define chaos, because I think there's already chaos going on, especially with like Biden and his mental decline and the Democrats freaking out on what they're going to do.
I would say more.
I mean, there could be all
more. Okay, then let me real quick. Let me just say, more attempts on Trump's life for number one. Do you think he's the safest he's ever been as of right now? Is this portion, are these days now after that attempt, like, you know, how they said that the safest day to ever fly in the United States was on September 12th, the day after.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm thinking about.
I think this was their one shot. I think that from here on out, all security, especially now that he becomes the nominee, he gets intelligence briefings. So I think going forward, there's going to be a lot more attention to detail for his security, and it's just going to be a Trump win. And I mean, but that's how I feel.
Okay.
And I also feel we'll never get the full story. On anything that happened.
Yeah, and that's the next thing. Thanks for the call, man. Thank you for being the first tonight.
Yep. Absolutely. Thanks, Frank.
All right, take care. And I guess that will be another question I ask you all. Who is they? Oh, that'll get some good answers. Who is that? Because I'm serious about that question. What if this was meant to start a retaliatory something or other? Trump gets clipped, and then whoever they are, go and take out Biden. Both men are unwanted for different reasons. Both men are unwanted for different reasons. You can say that Trump is in the bag for one special interest or another, but he is outside of the box enough to still need to be gotten rid of. That's what I believe. And I don't take any PAC money. So you let me know on that. Because that's the biggest thing here. When you see what doors were left open to allow this to happen, that's incredible. 417, you're on the air. Go ahead. Hey, 417.
How you doing, Frank?
I'm doing well. Who's this?
This is Colin.
What's going on, man?
Not much. Just listening in. First-time caller. I've been listening to you for a while now, and just want to get something off my chest.
Go ahead.
I know everybody is feeling however they're feeling about what happened over the weekend. My particular thing I cannot get over is seeing that poor fella, a husband, a father of two daughters.
Yep.
The dude was my age. And I thought for a second, what on earth is their life like Sunday morning? And what makes me angry is there are people, let's say the media, for instance, that couldn't care less.
They don't care at all
about this end of it. They don't care at all. And I had a job for many, many years where I saw soullessness and evil, and it never seems to shock my senses when I see it, the depravity that these people will get in front of a camera, look you deadpan in the face, and lie and act like you did something wrong. They've riled these smooth-brained lunatics up over 8 years, and they're shocked when something like this happens. I've got neighbors and friends that I don't even talk to anymore because of the past 8 years. I wasn't a racist, fascist bigot 10 years ago when you knew me, but 4 years ago, I was, I guess. I know I'm all over the place, but I took my boys to the movies today just for a sense of normalcy, and it was hard. It was hard.
What did you go see? Did you go see Twisters?
No, we had to go see Steve Carell do two voices in Despicable 4.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, Twisters comes out tomorrow, so maybe you can go show them the original and then go watch the new one.
Well, I show them the original movies that I like, and they're not down with that kind of stuff. Someone wants to say hi to you.
Okay.
Say hi to Frank.
Hi there.
Hey, who's this?
That's your future son-in-law, Bear.
Oh, who? A Bear?
Well, Barrett. We call him Bear.
Well, he better watch himself.
Yeah.
He's a good kid. He's not anything like his dad.
Okay. Well, thank you for the call. And just for the record, you were on point, and I know exactly where you were coming from and what you're talking about. They didn't. I was thinking about it because I saw the statement from the daughter, one of the daughters of the guy. He was a fireman in the area or something. 50-year-old guy. He died throwing himself on top of his family. And I saw the statement from the daughter, and I was like, "Do I read this on?" It's just too much. It's too much. Then I told you, I got quite a few people that commented and emailed me about the statements I said about Aurora the other night when we were just coming home, and she didn't really know anything. We shield her from that stuff, but she'll know a lot. But when she asked me, Mom, what if somebody shoots you? What would you do? You run away? And Lauren's like, well, it's like, yes, I guess we would all, run and hide. But obviously I said, well, you remember that BB gun? You remember that gun we were shooting into the pond up at the mountains and stuff like that? I said, well, we're going to talk a lot more about that one day. That's a tool for good, and it can also be a tool for bad. And it needs, and she's only 3. What am I going to do? It was right there, turned on some music, went on from there. But initially, I was surprised at all the concern she was showing for Donald Trump. Not because she gets it, because she understands what's going on or who he even is. She knows George Washington. She knows, she knows they show up, they speak into microphones or whatever. I don't know what her perception is. But when she heard my speakerphone conversation, just like the 10 seconds I spoke to Jay Gulanello on the speakerphone in the car, when I didn't know what the hell was going on, she was very concerned. Is he okay? Did he died? No. He's okay. Everything's fine. And she's just asking more questions. And hey, this is what we're going to. And I think that her generation is going to be more prepared to walk this line. Think about what we had change for us. They're going to have to come up forged by the fires of the way things already are. Okay? Think about what good times can be for them. Coming up and knowing that there's something that needs to be achieved here. And I think it's going to take that long. So, you leave them in the dark on a lot. You're 3 years old, 4 or 5. What the hell are you going to do? But that's just one of those things. I'm curious about perception at that age. And I don't know. The thing here, I'm noticing, going back to the last caller, is the most vocal portion of the left online, especially online, has already given itself, and in the television too, they've already given themselves permission to resume the existential threat broadcast that made it this way, that made all of this way. Okay? I think that the last 48 hours has really proven that unity is an impossibility with what lives above us, at least. You cannot join good and evil. You cannot reconcile that upper, class of technocrat loser, crazy person. You can't reconcile it. There are people among us who are savable. But unity is an impossibility, especially for those that exist above us. Watch this. Look at this. Here is Eric Swalwell, the most constipated man in Congress. Donald Trump releases this statement today at around 8 o'clock in the morning. It says, as we move forward in uniting our nation after the horrific events on Saturday, the dismissal of the lawless indictment in Florida should be at the top, just the first step, followed quickly by the dismissal of all the witch hunts, the January 6th hoax in Washington, D.C., the Manhattan DA's zombie case, the New York AG scam, fake claims about a woman I never met, a decades-old photo and a line with her husband when that does not count. The Georgia perfect phone call charges. Democrat Justice Department coordinated all of these political attacks, which are an election interference conspiracy against Joe Biden's political opponent, me. Okay? Which is incredible, because that's exactly what they're saying that Donald Trump called Ukraine over, which we know Joe Biden was not the chief political opponent. He just became the man that they had to make the chief political opponent at that point to make the impeachment make sense. Let us come together to end all weaponization of our justice system and make America great again. That's what Donald Trump said. Here's what Eric Swalwell said in response to that. I knew this madman would soon be back. He's incapable of unifying peanut butter and jelly. For Trump, it's always me first and only. The man gets shot as a result of his opposition's crazy talk. And then the opposition, like Eric Swalwell, finds it crazy that the targeted man hasn't changed his defiant ways after his brush with death. Incredible. It's just incredible. Examples like this all over the place. Libs of TikTok, I don't know how many careers she has rightfully ruined today. The people who have destroyed themselves by saying, damn that shooter for missing. Just a couple of inches to the right, that's what I would have wanted. Damn that shooter. I wish he didn't miss. I wish he didn't miss. Teachers, health and fitness professionals, therapists, police chiefs, fire chiefs, whatever the hell it is. There are so many people who have already had to resign within 48 hours because of this knee-jerk reaction that's been built into them by the media. And some of them in the screenshots that people are taking who are commenting against people in their lives or who are just observing the madness and saying, are you serious? You're seriously wishing somebody dead over politics? And what's their response? If you can kill Hitler 2.0, abso-fucking-lutely. There you have it. I mean, they're stupid. They're stupid, and because they're stupid, they're dangerous. That's the media. That is the entire enchilada right there. They got together and had stupid, disaffected people with no real purpose in life to believe that we're sitting around as Hitler 2.0 rises. Okay? And they're acting on that. They're acting on it. Tenacious D, Jack Black and Kyle Gass. Fuck those two fat asses. I can't believe how I was a fan of these guys forever. I guess Kyle had a birthday at their show yesterday, and they were singing happy birthday to Kyle Gass at the show. And Jack Black asked him, well, what's your birthday wish? Listen to this.
Happy birthday, make a wish, Canada. Don't miss Trump next time.
Don't miss Trump next time. And a theater full of thousands of people erupt in laughter and clapping. Like a zinger. They spoke that in public to a paying audience. Don't miss Trump next time. I mean, listen, this doesn't turn my stomach because, my burning affinity for Donald Trump. I don't have any Trump posters. I mean, anyone who expresses that kind of bloodlust, though, about anyone over nothing but politics and encourages a crowd's participation in it to boot, you're an animal. And this is what has been, it's been beaten into people. All of this stuff that we're witnessing right now has really had maximum value to me from a sociological standpoint, psychological as well, just to see which tests we're passing, which tests we're failing as human beings. And let me tell you, there are always bright spots, and there are always people who are seeing things for the first time and stepping back away from it and cutting themselves off and just starting to ask the right questions. But we are surrounded by remote control vermin. Remote controlled vermin. That's what it is. Some are willing to be the trigger men. Others are willing to cheerlead openly, and many more are just silent capitulators. And that's fucking dangerous, man. That's crazy. It really is. And there's plenty to ask. Plenty to ask. What the hell is happening? Where is everybody going? Where are we going with this stuff? First of all, the BlackRock thing with the kid that they say is a shooter. Do you believe it's really the shooter? I have this one chick over here. That claims she saw a second shooter. And I look at this kid that they said with the BlackRock video, and he's got this kind of like flat nose and all that stuff. His hair is short at the time. And I saw that gruesome picture of the dead shooter that When was the last time anybody released a picture like that? Did somebody other than the authorities have access to the top of that roof where the shooter was killed and collected? When the hell have authorities ever released a gruesome picture like that, at least so quickly, that we got it within hours? I don't get this. I don't get this, and I don't know what kind of a story this is going to turn into, and whether this Thomas Matthew Crooks is a patsy, a plant, one of two. I don't know what the hell it is, but something is not right about this. Something's not right. 551, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Holy shit, Frank.
Hey, what's up?
Dude, I love you.
I love you
Thank
too.
for everything you do and everything you are, brother. I seriously love you.
Well, thank you. Who's this?
This is Sean from Jersey, buddy.
Sean from Jersey. It's good to have a home slice call in. What is that all you wanted to say? You just wanted to say hello? Do you have any other question? Anything you wanted to add?
No, you know what? I wanted to bring something up about the actual event. It came to mind today.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's almost as if they're setting up the Secret Service, obviously, making them look inept, you know, especially with the fumbling armed lesbians we all saw in the front. And it's almost like, so there are snipers up on the roof, the only two snipers that anybody's talking about. You know, they're the ones that were in charge of protecting the whole crowd, apparently, right? So, they had police tags on, right? Police badges. Don't know what that means, but I do know that the Secret Service said today that the state police is responsible for the outside, right?
Okay.
So those two guys were up there, right? So we all saw that moment that they were staring, you know, for a few minutes at the target, right? At the shooter, supposedly. They were locked on. They saw him. They knew everything that was going on, but they were not doing anything, right? So we're all confused. Point being is, the moment the first shots were fired, the sniper, he dropped the scope. Like, he was startled. Like, he didn't expect the shot to come, right? And I'm thinking, like, if there was a stand-down order, as people are saying, with this highly trained sniper, you know, seeing, you know, a real threat, drop his scope and be startled that a shot was actually fired. I was just wondering if, catching my breath here, I was just running. I was wondering if maybe it was a situation like a 9/11 where it was is this real life or is this exercise? You know, for at least some of them. If the state police were in charge of that entire area,
I know the fact you can't make it up that it was the actual police staging area. You can't make it up.
Right. And but that sniper, I mean, we're all wondering, what was he startled about? Like, why didn't he know that shot was coming? Well, maybe he didn't expect it to come from somebody. You know, I don't know. I'm just trying to make sense of this craziness. And
it's good. It's good questions, and they're basic questions, you know, and we don't have any answers for it. Thank you for the call, though, my friend. It's good to hear from you.
Yeah, this came to me today. Yeah, stay you, brother. I'll see you soon. I'm 10 minutes from the old 76 house. Next time you're out here, bro, I'm going to find you.
Nice. There you go. A night in Tappan, New York. Matt would love that. I mean, there's a lot. You know, the BlackRock commercial thing was only a little piece of it. It's like the person is almost secondary. And whenever you hear those initial reports, you got to listen to all the initial reports, all the witnesses. Now, obviously, somebody can see somebody and assign importance to a person, a figure that is unwarranted. They might think that somebody that's running away from the scene is another shooter, but it might just be a scared bystander that's just running away from the scene. But there's something very suspicious to me about the way that this person was displayed like a trophy fish. It's very, very suspicious to me. And there was other people, that Violet guy, an Antifa guy with a pudgy face and a beard. I mean, there was other figures that were thrown out there first. So just paying attention to it all, and there's just I don't know. That's just nutty. And let me just also say about MK Ultra. As far as MK Ultra goes, because there's a lot of people bringing that up there too. Always remember our talks with people like our friend Kathy O'Brien. The MK Ultra watermark branding does not have to be all over a person anymore. It doesn't have to be, they don't have to be branded on their ankle. It doesn't have to be a single subject who was groomed in a federal institution to be triggered into Manchurian candidacy. That's not necessary. The repetitious methods of traumatizing and brainwashing and disassociating people from reality, that has been turned into a mass communication protocol. It's been adopted on a mass communication level. All right. It constitutes a large part of our media, entertainment, education, our function of government. It's seen and unseen. So it also makes me far less curious about the fact, and I should say it's also, I'm far less curious about that than I am about how the shooter, positioned himself on the only roof in the area that was left conveniently unattended. 914-369-1236. 931, you're on the air. Go ahead.
It's seen and unseen.
Hello.
So,
hello?
Hey.
I'm sorry, is this Frank?
It is. Who's this?
Frank, you really do sound different on the phone, brother.
Oh, I'm sorry.
This is Jim from Tennessee.
Well, Jim from Tennessee, welcome to the show. You sound different, too.
Cool, man.
Okay.
Hey, listen, I was watching Judge Napolitano today, and the sniper, he had a statement he put out to the public. I don't know if you had heard about that at all.
An official statement? Because I saw a bunch of people posting on behalf of the sniper on 4chan and everything else. An obvious LARP, so I didn't... So the actual sniper made a statement?
That was according to on Judge Napolitano. He's 2 weeks gone, but he went ahead and did one with Ray McGovern and Larry Johnson today. And he said that he was watching that guy for at least 3 minutes through his scope, but he was given the no-shoot order from the head of security from the Secret Service there.
There was nobody within 3 minutes of the guy? Like, nobody ran over with it? Like,
they told him not to shoot, but they also didn't take Trump off of the stage, brother.
Dude, I'm telling you. The question is, who is they? And
right, yeah.
That's nuts. See, I didn't hear that. I'll have to listen to Judge Napolitano. I have some clips over. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, please.
I was just saying, it's at the if you pull that up, it was from today. It's at the 11:30 mark is when he pulls up that statement from the sniper, counter sniper.
All right, you know what? Are you on the Gilded? Are you on Gilded chat?
I'm not, brother.
Okay, I was going to say if somebody in Gilded can tag me with the Judge Napolitano video that he's talking about. You said 11:30 mark?
It's at the 11:30 mark, and it's on YouTube.
Okay, so then
he does his show on YouTube.
All right, well, maybe somebody can get that to me, or maybe I'll grab it during intermission. But thank you for that. Is that all you wanted to say?
That's it, brother.
All right, dude.
I didn't know if you knew that or not, man. I just wanted to share that with the community.
No, I haven't heard it. Let me get around to another call. Thank you so much. Here's one. King, you're on the air. Go ahead. This must have been tough for you. King?
Hello?
You hear me?
Yes, 1 second, please. I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
I can. So what do you think about this? This must have been... I can't even imagine your face when you found out.
Well, when I saw it as an alert on one of my things, I thought it was a joke. So I didn't take it seriously at first. So I went through the whole day just thinking it was a hoax by some weirdo until I watched your show Saturday night and found out, oh shit, it's real.
So what are your when you find out it's real? What are your initial thoughts? Because I know that you're all in.
Well, I was concerned, obviously, but let me tell you what I did this morning, you and your audience. As you know, I'm in a blue state, and there isn't very much of us here. So I called in to the local Lowell radio station and lambasted the lefties for this, the ones that was broadcasting, and the ones that was tuned in. I says, you want to know something? I says, let me tell all of you this right now. I said, and listen close. I says, this is not a threat, but understand one thing. Use people, you shot our guy. There's no coming back from that. You shot our guy. I said, you people spent a whole year burning down cities all over this country over some junky loser. I said, you people have been committing political violence for God knows how long now. And now you shoot our guy. There's no coming back from that. There's no talking. There's no trust. There's no nothing no more. You shot our guy. And the radio host is like, will you stop saying that? You shot our guy. It's, who do you mean you? Who are you talking about? I'm like, you people know who you are. All of you that are out there are complicit in this.
Did you record
it? You're Antifas, you're Democrats, you're lefties. I'm like, you're all complicit in this. And remember one thing, you shot our guy. And we won't forget that or forgive that. No threats. No threats.
You call into a show like that, I know that you would keep yourself away from that. But did you record that? Usually, sometimes when you know you're going to go on a rant, you record the radio.
I'm sorry, I did not.
I'll tell you. Well, next time you reprimand them, you gotta do that because I want to hear it.
The guy Frankie told me, stop saying that. It's true.
Well, thank you for sharing it over here, King. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
All right. Here, you know what? And on that, I'll say the martyrdom complaints are the best. The martyrdom complaints are the best. Almost immediately, media, both traditional, social media, flooded with, oh, great. Now he's going to be a martyr. That's the takeaway. And these are the people who are just less inclined. They're just less inclined to openly lament that the bullet missed Trump's skull altogether. Okay? There's a lot of people who are just holding it together for their careers and their reputations. They like being, politically fiery, but they don't want to let people know just how much of an animal they actually are. And perhaps in trusted company, they'll go, "Oh yeah, I was hoping." So of course he's a martyr, and deservedly so. Anybody in his position over the last 8 years deserves to have that mark if something like this happens. Every spiteful act of sabotage from 2016 onward, he gets a bump in the polls. Those are little small martyrdoms along the way. Every special investigation, every entrapment, every impeachment, every scoop of ice cream that people cried about, that's just it. They did it to themselves. So somebody finally takes a shot at his head to end Hitler's life before he kills all the trans people. And they're rolling their eyes like, oh, great, just what we needed. You could have stopped this a long time ago. But they enjoy the role-playing a little too much. They enjoy the role-playing psychosexual stuff. They love it. Where's the other one? Here, hold on a second. Where is he? Not that. Where's George Takei? You want to talk about psychosexual? Where the fuck are you, George? Where is he? Oh, here you go. Take a look at this. George Takei. Trump remains. Trump remains. This guy was interned by Democrats during World War II and still happily carries water for them. Trump remains an existential threat to democracy. We'll defeat him with ballots, not bullets. You don't... Again, this is what I'm talking about. They went right back to the messaging that created this mess. You don't vote away existential threats to democracy or whatever the hell else. You declare war on existential threats. Because there's no voting about that. There's no voting for an existential threat. That's totally different. A policy difference and an existential threat are two different things. You see, these people are so far beyond reasoning, at least those who have attained the most influential posts in their religion. They want to keep their role-playing fantasies intact, but they want to separate themselves from the consequences of their game at the same time. Martyrdom. Yeah, these are people who put a violent career criminal into a golden coffin and paraded him around the country to whip votes for the 2020 election. You want to talk about martyrs? At least Donald Trump deserves to qualify as one. So, just nutty. Come on, everybody. Calm down. Calm down. Stop trying to shoot Trump. We don't need that. Everybody stop trying to shoot him now. We don't need that, everybody. Calm down. So, we're gonna beat him at the ballot box, okay, folks? So, stop shooting him. We'll beat the existential threat to freedom and democracy and blacks and gays and women at the ballot box, everybody. Because isn't that how we have always rid the world of existential threats? By dropping pieces of paper into mailboxes outside of JCPenney. That's how we've always gotten rid of them, isn't it? Just one thing after another. And I said this a long time ago there too. So nobody knows. Nobody actually really knows what real oppression is. That's why I asked the question, are we pussies? Especially the left, because they like the role playing. Especially the feminists who think that The Handmaid's Tale is something that people are coming after them. No. They want to be. They want to be wanted. That's the whole fucking point here. Real oppression. Don't know what the hell it is to be a real revolutionary. You think about the French resistance. The French resistance under Nazi occupation or something like that. A real revolutionary time that requires secret handshakes, that requires secret knocks at the door. You're reading banned literature around fireplaces and nondescript locations. You don't control everything from news networks to teachers' unions. That's not what being oppressed. You're the bad guy. When you're oppressed, you're not able to lay in a kiddie pool in the streets of San Francisco during a gay pride event while strangers line up to take turns urinating on you. Oppressed. Existential threat. My God. I mean, they just love being in a made-for-television drama. So long, and finally, there's an act that correlates with all the rhetoric that they've adopted, and they're still trying to find a way to justify the message. They're still trying to find a way to rationalize keeping the message in rotation. I'm telling you, they're not complete people, and maybe that cognitive dissonance, maybe that clash of logic is what is going to shed yet another layer of people off of that block. They're just like, no, I can't ignore this anymore. And if I lose some friends, then fine. But I just got to step back. I'm not changing my sides. I just need to think about this. What the hell? This is not making sense. I have to imagine, because you can't have this cake and eat it too. I really hope that some more people are shaved off the ranks there when they realize that this doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. There's just a screw loose. You take note of anyone who gives themselves over to this line of thinking in your life, and you have to understand you can never truly, fully trust them ever again. I don't. If you have a parent or something, I'm sure that they love you. I'm sure you love them. That's something that's hard to stop doing. But you have to understand that their judgment is fucking toast. And, in certain situations, trusting somebody's judgment can be a lot more consequential than getting the wrong kind of milk or the wrong kind of macaroni at D'Agostino's or whatever the hell it is. Just, you got to think about that. I can't believe how many people ruined their reputations over the last couple of days. The people resigning out there are nuts. It's nuts. All right, we're going to take 7:48? We're still doing pretty good. But we're going to take another break. It's a single topic show. Actually, no. We got 12 minutes. Let's start with this. I've got Dan Bongino. Here's a clip of him on with Jesse Waters over the weekend. I said I was going to listen to his show today. I didn't have time to do that, so this will just suffice, because I'm sure that he just expanded on these concepts in today's show. Take a listen to this from last night at 9 o'clock. It was posted.
Former Secret Service agent Dan Bongino joins me now. Is this gross incompetence, or is it something even more scary that we can't even think about?
No, it's gross incompetence. I mean, how do you think about it, right? The counter sniper team, they train out, the Secret Service counter sniper team, obviously there to mitigate a sniper threat. They train out to 1,000 yards. So we're talking about, say it was 200 yards. It was actually less than that where this shooter was, right? You're talking about a fraction of what they're trained at. They're also trained to spot guys in ghillie suits, cracked open windows.
Right.
He's on a white roof in broad daylight.
He's on a white roof.
Now, again, it'd be easy for me to say, oh, well, let's not get into Monday morning quarterbacking. Bro, it's not a freaking football game. It's the President of the United States' life. The Secret Service has one job. Well, outside of counterfeiting and protection, it is one job. You keep the body alive no matter what. They came within a millimeter of this guy losing his life. I don't understand some of the commentary that's, they did a great job. Well, the body guys, that response was, brave. They ran up there. They didn't know there could have been 10 more shooters.
Right.
No doubt. Know those guys. Pretty heroic what happened there. But the security failure in the perimeter is a complete, total debacle. No one should defend this.
So when you have guys, we just played the sound, when you have fans saying, hey, there's a guy with a gun over there to multiple law enforcement guys, and they still are just looking around like this and no one. How does that happen?
Well, I'll tell you, I'm getting from a number of sources that people are feeding to me their information, obviously, because they want to fix it. They're concerned, and I think you're going to see a lot of whistleblowers. I'm hearing there were very, very few. I don't want to give an exact number, but very few actual, I don't think anyone else has reported this, actual Secret Service poststanders at that site. That they were temp HSI,
right.
Homeland Security folks, they're great folks. I'm not knocking them, but that's not what they do specifically. We do protection, and we're trained for that. So I'm hearing that. I'm also hearing that the counter sniper team, that they had a problem seeing over the elevation. That's why I didn't engage right away.
Oh, come on.
But that's not the problem. The problem, well, it's the problem, but that's not the real. The problem is, where the hell was the aerial visual support? Why was there no helicopter? Why was there no drone? Why was there no FLIR? Why was there no thermal? Forward-looking infrared. How the hell is the crowd acting as the freaking counter surveillance operation?
I know, if that's...
It's nuts. It's nuts. And I'm sorry, I got to say, if I am a person who qualifies for Secret Service protection and I see that multiple Melissa McCarthy lookalikes are assigned to me, I'm never leaving the house again. All right? Now, I know that what he's talking about is something a little bit more perimeter-based than everybody who's fumbling around on stage with him, but I don't know. I want to know about the approach. I want to know about the shooter, whoever they are, the shooter's approach to this one and only roof. I just saw the map that they put up on screen over there on Fox, 130 yards, and it's the only roof there? What the hell are we talking about? Because it's not even that. It's like you have to scout that area. You have to imagine that the area was scouted out ahead of time. You know that Trump is going to have a rally. You have to imagine that the area is scouted ahead of time. You look at that and you expect that to be clear? The only standing structure that you can possibly get on top. I mean, who shows up expecting the only roof in the area to be open with a rifle strapped to their back, no less? It's very, very strange. And then more kept coming out. Here's from Colin Rugg, just in a little earlier on today. The building that Thomas Crooks climbed on top of and fired from was the staging area for the police tactical team, according to ABC News. Holy shit. The building where gunman Thomas Crooks scrambled onto the roof and opened fire was the staging area for the local police tactical team doing overwatch of the crowd, two law enforcement officials told ABC News. So what were they? Were the police inside of the building playing pinochle? Or it's just crazy that he's right on top of them. Investigators are trying to figure out how Crooks was able to get roof access. Very interesting questions to be answered. And then this, just a little while before we went live tonight. Thomas Crooks was spotted by law enforcement on a roof 26 minutes. This is nearly a half hour before the shooting that nearly killed the former president. And again, I understand that Donald Trump is the main event here, nearly killed Donald Trump, but That family from Pennsylvania that lost their father doesn't give a shit. Would have rather it been Donald Trump. As much as they probably support him as a candidate, if you're going to ask anybody, do you mind if we kill your mother or father, or do you want Donald Trump to keep running for? Who are you choosing? So, I mean, it's just one of those things where I hate that keeps getting brushed under the rug. I don't want to see anybody get killed, but stop leaving them out. And there's another guy that's still critically injured and all that shit. Let's see here. 26 minutes before the shooting that nearly killed the former president, according to WPIX 11 or to WPXI, someone had noticed a suspicious man on the roof at 5:45 p.m. The person took a photo of Crooks. The sources who spoke with WPXI 11 said a law enforcement officer had also previously seen Crooks on the ground and called him in as a suspicious person with a picture before 5:45 p.m. And they didn't have far to go. Remember, this is their staging grounds, the officers. An officer later checked the grounds but didn't find Crooks. 26 minutes after the second picture was taken, the shots were fired from the roof. And so this is nuts, man. That's absolutely batty. Was it 7:55? Good. Here's one more thing for you before we go to our break. Here's one more thing for you. This is a 2-minute clip. Here's a witness. And I think this is what my producer, Krista, was telling me about when this all was unfolding on Saturday. She said she kept rewinding the news feed and watching this one interview with a woman who said that there was more than one shooter. Anyway, somebody went and screen grabbed it, and now we have at least something crude to listen to. Here's a 2-minute clip, something to consider. Who knows?
Sharpshooter shot to the left. He killed the gentleman in the water tower here. Now, when I called my husband at home, who's watching TV, he said, I thought Trump hurt his ear when he went to the ground. But he said, no, on TV they showed before Trump hit the ground, the ear was bleeding. So that sharpshooter went across, Trump turned his head, his ear must have been nipped, and it killed somebody in the stands over to the left.
Could you see anyone injured besides the blood on the former president?
All I saw was the gentleman from Beaver County who spoke earlier in the day. He was running for the State House Representative, Elmore, I know his name. He had a white shirt on, and I saw him come from that left stands where the people were mostly shot. I think there were several. They said 3 medevacs left here. Blood was down the right side of his... He wasn't shot, but you could see that he was next to somebody who must have been bleeding profusely because he either helped them and ran, rubbed against them or tried to get them help or something. It was covered. So I knew that he was near somebody. That was my first indication that somebody was actually shot when I saw his blood on his shirt.
Aaron, when did you realize that, hey, this might not be fireworks, this might be something else?
When they got Trump down on the ground. And then we were just so concerned that he wasn't hit because we couldn't. It happens so fast. It's really hard to process it. I guess if you have it on your camera to see the exact minute, you can tell. But when he got up, he did not look bad at all. What I've heard coming out here is now they feel that there was 2 shooters on both sides. So they got the one on the tower on this side, but the one on the right side they never got. So that's why they wanted us to leave immediately, because they thought there's still a shooter out there somewhere. So there could be in these woods around Butler. And I feel sad for our country. I feel sad for everybody, you don't like the guy, don't vote for him. Don't kill him. We love the guy. We're going to vote for him. What is up with his violence? It's just terrible. I just wish that people that, I'm glad that guy's no longer with us anymore in that tower. And
I'm just sick to my stomach. I'm sick to my stomach. Just hearing the screams, I'm sick to my stomach. It's just sickening. Now, the one thing I'm curious about is, I haven't seen, maybe you guys have, maybe you can send it my way, trajectory of, how people were hit. Where did it come from? Has it grazed Trump, went into the crowd? Was there any other, were all the people who were hit all in one area? Which would, of course, suggest that all of the trajectory of all the bullets were coming from one location. Or is it possible, like she said, that there were two people here, two people there, or were coming from different angles? Obviously, if somebody was shot over either shoulder of him, then you know that we don't have a single shooter here. But again, something very strange about the actual the guy that they're trotting out there like a trophy bass. Very strange. When do you, aside from Uday and Qusay Hussein, I remember having Saddam Hussein's sons, their dead faces popping out underneath the body bags on the front page of the New York Post back when we first invaded Iraq. I remember them. That's why I also remembered, hey, well, you just got Osama bin Laden. Why can't we get a photo of him dead? Oh, because we threw him into the sea immediately to be respectful for his customs. Just very strange. So let's take a break. When we come back, more of your calls. It's going to be mostly your calls. I have some emails and some other things that have come in from people. You can also call in to let me know what you think about Vance as a vice presidential pick. We will be back in a moment. Thank you, guys and gals.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out to press the like button.
Hey.
Thank you.
Hey, I've seen this one. This is a classic.
Well,
turning, quite frankly. Quite frankly.
Quite frankly.
Quite frankly.
Quite frankly.
Quite frankly.
Quite frankly.
Quite
frankly.
Quite frankly.
Quite frankly.
Quite frankly.
Quite frankly.
Quite frankly.
Quite frankly.
Quite frankly. Quite frankly.
Quite frankly, guys.
Quite frankly.
Quite frankly.
Quite frankly.
So everybody watch. Quite frankly. With Frank.
Dare you.
When it was breaking news, now we got about 36 hours of buffer, 36 to 48. What's on your mind aside from this craziness with the staging area and the half-hour head start and jeez?
I mean, I knew it was bad Saturday night when I called you, and I said, this is just a total failure. But then you're just watching it. Nothing makes sense about this at all. Nothing. I mean, you got all the camps online. You got the people who are, pro-Trump saying, they killed him. They shot our guy, as the king was saying, and I understand that. But then you got others who have said, oh, no, it's staged. I don't believe that per se, but I can understand why they are thinking that, because nothing happened the way it should have.
Right.
The only thing that happened right was Trump duck. That was about the only thing, because you are trained when you are president to duck when you hear anything. But other than that, they stood on the stage for how long? Suppose you had 3 shooters in the crowd.
Yeah,
that was off.
Let me ask you this. So, what about your observations? What about your observations of people in the crowd behind him? Because there's a lot of people who were analyzing the response and the reaction of people behind him. Some have theories that there were spotters and in the crowd, that didn't duck when everybody else did. It just seemed suspicious. Is that just something that you don't really pay any mind to? That everybody acts different under stress and perceived danger, or do you think there could have been something like that going on as well?
I mean, unless you're trained for it. I mean, we look at the people standing right directly in front of Trump. You have people that never moved because you have no understanding of what's happening. You're the week before it's 4th of July, so I'm sure they're still shooting off fireworks in Pennsylvania. That may be you're not thinking that. These people have been out there for hours and hours and hours waiting. They're probably, having a good time, drinking. And then you hear these quick pops and nobody knows what's going on. So people just stand there. I think the ones behind Trump, you had a lot of them got down. But I think the ones that didn't really react were kind of like the ones standing in front of Trump. And they didn't even move. They just stood there.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that they did anything wrong. That was just their reaction. And I think people are making a big deal of the people that were sitting, because them not moving at all looks even worse when you're sitting, because you're like, you're kind of like in that position, and it looks like you're just like stone.
Right.
So, yeah. So I don't get that. But it's just the actions of the Secret Service all the way through the whole thing. Everything went the opposite of how it should have went. Sniper should have been shot. Trump should have been bum rushed off the stage. If you haven't watched the Reagan video from '81, that's what happens. He was gone that car was up the road in 2 seconds. Here they stood on stage. Trump's not in charge at that time. They are.
He should have been dragged like meat.
Exactly. Your shoes, they don't teach that in Secret Service school. Hey, make sure the guy has his shoes before you get him off the stage in case there's other shooters there. It doesn't make any sense. And then you get him in the car. The car doesn't even leave right away.
Well, what I didn't know. Now I understand that Trump is a big guy too, and I'm sure that he was throwing his weight around. Like when they got him up and he pumped his fist in the air. I mean, there could be 5 other people there that are ready to finish the job. There's no the dawdling. It was very strange what was allowed to happen even after the fact.
Female Secret Service woman that was had her arms around Trump on stage when they're walking him off. What does she do? She has the hat, a MAGA hat in her hand. She drops it, and then she picks it up, leaving Trump exposed to that angle. Everything that you're not supposed to do, like nothing from the beginning to the end, nothing went right. And the other points, I think, the former Secret Service dude that you played before the break, that slant in the roof, they're there days in advance. All buildings are supposed to be mapped out exactly for that purpose. And that building was like right there with a clear shot. There should have been guys in there. How did this guy got a ladder, climbed up, he's up there 26 minutes. Like, I'm waiting for the next report, The shooter, in breaking news, the shooter door-dashed pizza to the roof an hour before the shooting.
Wait, that's
it wouldn't shock me at this point.
That's for, that couldn't have been. That has to be some tongue-in-cheek humor. That has to be. Because
I'm being sarcastic because now he's up there, he's doing everything like, a half an hour.
I wouldn't be surprised if he was stargazing there the night before. Just set up residence. It's insane. Well, Frank, listen, thanks for the call, and send my best to Jim. I hope I hear his opinion on this soon too.
Absolutely, Frank.
All right, man. Have a good one. Yeah, there's
have a good one.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot on that one. I'll tell you. You and I don't know shit. And who knows what kind of plans were foiled and what had to be retooled. But can you imagine that Donald Trump and Joe Biden are really, they were both saved by that near miss? I'm serious about this. Imagine that was something that was supposed to be the impetus for a quote unquote retaliatory attack where both candidates, that would be one hell of a way to cancel an election. Both candidates were assassinated in the same year. Now that's a theory. That's a theory. Not one I'm committing to it. I'm just saying that's one hell of a theory right there. Imagine that they both have someone to thank. Wendy, what's going on? Wendy Mahoney.
Hey. Oh my gosh. How are you?
I'm doing well. Good to hear from you. What do you got for us?
Well, number one, I did listen to Dan today, Dan Bongino. I don't listen to him often anymore, but, if he's to be believed, he certainly was in that position. He said that Anon stuff probably is not true because you're trained, especially in that situation.
What stuff? Wait, what stuff is probably not true?
Well, the stuff about that the returned sniper was waiting for a command.
Okay.
Yeah, he blew that one away. He just said, that's not how it goes down. He had a phrase that he kept using, when it's imminent danger, and something else, you shoot. You don't wait for the guy to shoot the target then shoot.
So then what was his theory or his speculation as to why there was no preeminent shooting or not preeminent, preemptive?
Well, he said that what he's hearing from the guys that he knows, and he is hopeful that he'll get some whistleblowers to come forward, because he believes that the guys on the ground, the few that were there, want to do the right thing. But apparently the edge of the building, the edge of the roof was slightly raised, and the guy couldn't get a clear shot on him because he kept ducking below. And so he had to wait for him to raise his gun above that, whatever it was, the gutter or whatever it was, the wall on the roof. He was below, I don't know, there must have been like a 2-foot rim or, a wall around the roof or something like that, where the guy really couldn't get a straight sight on him.
Okay.
And really, I mean, he was more focused, honestly, at what Zell was saying, Frank, that none of it makes any sense. He did say that he has it on good authority that a lot of the Secret Service guys weren't there. There was a lot of DHS guys. I'm sure you've discussed that.
Yeah.
And it's not that they're bad. It's just they're not trained the same way. They were working with local law enforcement who are equally not trained to, that kind of thing. But he said what really literally does not make any sense is the fact that, Secret Service and, the guys protecting the president go ahead and look at every angle, 360 view, mark out the vulnerabilities. And that building was so it was like just absurd, ridiculously absurd. And there are ways to get, arms in, you can take apart the gun, you can get it, bury it somewhere in there, but whatever. Okay. It's still, he said they didn't secure the perimeter. He said there's nothing that makes sense about it. And, I'll be honest, Frank, it really reminds me a lot of the reporting that I've done on J6. It's a similar scenario. There are a lot of parallels. It's almost like it was a combination of either incompetence or planned chaos or something like that. Because with January 6th, they should have had the NSSE in place, the National Special Security, the security event. I forget what the letters stand for, but it's like what you do for an inauguration, and it coordinates all of the intelligence, FBI, Secret Service, everybody, and they didn't have that in place. And so it's very similar in the sense that it almost looked like these guys were just running around completely unprepared. And that's what happened on January 6th. I'm not one of those people who believes that it was, coordinated down to the minute. And
no, it doesn't have to be.
Knew exactly.
It doesn't have to be.
What?
It doesn't have to be coordinated down to the minute. That's the whole point. To focus on any situation like that is to sabotage your own argument. Especially when it's something as big as January 2021 or this, where there's so many people and you only need to have a very small amount of moving pieces to create enough chaos in that kind of a crowd. Yeah, I understand.
Right. I mean, you honestly, you only have to have one guy who doesn't like Trump and says,
Gotcha.
just not going to do those things, and I'm going to tell him that I did do them, or something like that. So I don't buy into the fact that these, I just don't think these people are that coordinated, and they don't need to be. They know that. They're not stupid.
Well, yeah. They're not that coordinated at all, because if anybody, the crazy thing is if I were doing security that day, nobody would have been dead. because and I'm completely untrained. But the only thing I would think to do is stand from the vantage point of the stage and turn around in a circle. And first thing I would do is cover all of the windows and roofs, and that's all you would have needed in this case, the one roof.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally absurd. And then when you look at, I disagree with the point you made. Trump's a big guy. Those guys that went up on the stage and tried to give him cover, I think that they did the best job they could. They were up on a platform and then they had to go down the stairs. It wasn't like the Reagan thing where he's walking on a sidewalk and they slammed him into the car. They had a way to go, and he's a big man, and I'll guarantee you his adrenaline was going because of how quickly he thought to do and say what he said.
Yeah.
And he was, Trump, I really admire the guy. It wasn't surprising that he did what he did to me at all. I can see how he's very authentic in that way, I believe. And he really does care about the country and the people in this country. And his first thought was he looked out, and of course he's a showman. So he's looking out, and he already has the presence of mind to look out and say, Jesus, these people are standing, they're staying with me, and I want them to know that I'm okay. So that, his being a big guy, the adrenaline, I'll guarantee you he's putting the full weight of his body to upward motion to not move. And that's why those Secret Service guys were probably like, Jesus, can he just move off this stage? But he wanted to make his point, and then he started to move. And you notice that he started to move when he decided to move. And then, of course, then he gets down. And I definitely did not like these small, little 5'3", women. Look, this diversity stuff caused that shit.
It's not because it's not because women are unable to learn the protocols and execute them. It's just you got somebody that's 5'2", 5'3", dumpy little woman that is supposed to cover somebody's physical body that is the size of a lineman.
Yeah, no,
it's just ridiculous.
It's the dumbest thing ever.
It looked like Jeff and Mutt.
And you could tell that like one of them was trying to holster her gun. Like it was ridiculous. They looked like they were
children.
Like they looked like it would look like Melissa McCarthy in a movie. How she would act pretending to be a Secret Service agent. That's how it looked to me.
Well, Wendy, I really appreciate this. I was hoping that you got through tonight. We got almost 10 minutes in. I'm always on the lookout for your next published work, and keep us updated with everything. You should call in and just tell us what your latest feature is from time to time.
All right, I will. All right, thanks.
I appreciate you, Wendy. Thank you. That's Wendy Mahoney, Uncovered DC. You can follow her on Twitter as well. I'm glad that she called in. I have a couple more things. So it's 8:20. I could take some more of your calls. 914-369-1236. Here's an email from Jim in Alabama. It says, good morning, Frank. Sadly, I don't think it's any surprise to most of us that an assassination attempt was made on Trump. Fortunately, he lives to campaign another day and hopefully occupy the White House next year. Having said that, a few weeks back, I woke in the morning halfway through sleep, as I'm a noon sleeper, with a fear that Trump was in danger. And again, that's probably happened with many of us, but the feeling was so intense that in the early morning stupor, I managed to send myself an email to document my foreboding. And here's the email. Not the first time I've had such prescient dreams or feelings, but in the past they've been about people I was close to. And he sent me, I think it was from June 26th. It simply said Trump's in grave danger. I've got something over here from Robert Phoenix. I said, okay, well, what do you think? He said, well, it's like an exploded postmodern cubist art extravaganza. The astrology certainly lines up. We've been talking about these aspects in Trump's chart for months now. Last week on my show, I was circling the target. I talked about the Ford ass, the Reagan ass. Oh, the Ford astrology or the Reagan astrology? I mean, he said ass. The Ford astrology, the Reagan astrology, and did a show with Trump as Hitler. and talked about how they were loading the cannon much like the Purge films did for the Summer of Floyd. So it's been in the air. Now, Trump is a slam dunk now. He just has to make it to the finish line. Then you have the shooter story, which is weird and flimsy, says Robert Phoenix. The BlackRock video and Obama's production company, people accusing Trump's people of rigging it, and it was a small cap. It was a small cap in the right ear that made the explosion. Pain and part of the theater. There is a symbolic message, like the right ear being the ear of Logos and listening to God. The shoes coming off and exposing his soul, which is Pisces, so there's a religious element in there. When he's on the ground, he looks scared. At least that's how I interpret it. We are in historic times. Now, I got also in touch with Jeff Harmon. I said, hey, what are you seeing, Jeff? And he got back to me, said, unfortunately, he was, he's in high demand right now. Everybody wants to know, okay, what's going on? But he did say this. He says, Trump is still in danger. Very bad astrology today and the rest of the week. Now, there's other ones that came in. A friend of mine, Mike the Quaker, I always ask him about this stuff. I asked him, because he's very, very, he's been very, I don't know, I would say pessimistic, not very doom and gloom about things. He keeps his eyes trained. He's one of those people who keeps his eye trained on Mossad, AIPAC, Israel, what they're doing, the deep state links, where it's all going, that stuff. And I asked him, okay, all right, Trump time. What do you think about this? I got this back. Mike said, number one, the Dems cannot undo this event, which they urged for 4 years, calling him Hitler, enemies of democracy, who must be stopped, etc., etc. Killing Hitler at that point is mandatory. It's undeniable. The Dems want him dead. Donald is the anti-deep state candidate. Now, this is why I asked him about this, because in the past, he was just like, they got him. I said, well, what's changed? I'll get to that in a second. The Dems missed their big chance to stay in power. They will do it again and again until they get him. They will declare martial law to stop the election. He's been a long time believer that the election's not going to happen. Conservatives have been too lazy to fight back, literally, but here's why that might change. And he linked me to a Zero Hedge article. The headline is, Army Base taught soldiers that pro-life groups are terrorists, says Watchdog. Terrorist groups, according to Watchdog Group, confirmed by the military. The training material was part of an anti-terrorism brief at Fort Liberty, formerly Bragg, in North Carolina. Independent journalist Sam Shoemate reported on X. The report does not indicate when the presentation happened. It also falsely attributed the bombing of abortion clinics to National Right to Life, the report states. Let's see here. And here's another one there, too. Biden Health and Human Services forces foster parents to facilitate sex changes for minors, barring Christian adoption. Christians have long been the driving force behind adoption in America, continuing to run 65% of the 200,000 foster homes in the U.S. today. One particularly moving example inspired a new film from the maker's mega hit film Sound of Freedom. So, to wit, Biden's Department of Health and Human Services issues a new rule in April that by the end of 2026 required states forbid a percentage of their foster homes from adopting to parents who do not agree to affirm a trans child's gender identity or refuse to assist the child's sex change. The percentage is unspecified. Anti-human, pro-sterilization. Monsters. Does that wake people up? I don't know. He goes on to say, my friend Mike the Quaker says, Archbishop Vigano said this is a fight against Satanism. It is a spiritual battle. The 90 million evangelical community, which is 1/3 black at least, and 4 million Hispanics, strongly believe that this is a spiritual battle and that God intervened via intercessory prayers to save Donald's life. The big question is if and when Texas will secede. Then he left an astro chart reading. He says the two violent planets, Mars and Jupiter, are now conjunct, which will peak on Tuesday When adverse to the moon in Scorpio, something even bigger could happen then. I guess that's what Jeff Harmon was saying. Now, I asked him, I said, you said he's the anti-deep state candidate. What has changed with you after, as far as foreign influence regarding AIPAC and other stuff is going? And of course, the fact that there's a lot of people out there who at this point they don't know who to trust. They just believe everybody's deep state. And to what degree do you push back on that now? He says, my opinion is that T plays both sides. So is smudged a bit by the deep state, but T is not part of its architecture. Maybe the deep state expected to recruit him, but he remained on the periphery. Maybe he had no choice except to go along with the COVID hoax. Remember, he signed a bill handing over power to Homeland during the emergency, unspecified except when Homeland said so. To that mystery Texan, he signed it over to that mystery Texan named Wolf. That should have been the end of T, a successful deep state coup, but he did not submit. Just gave lip service to the controllers. He double-crossed them. He said, you know much more than I, so if I knew your opinion, I would defer to it gladly. I really don't have an opinion. When it comes to Trump, it's as simple as this. I focus on things that are going on locally, in my life, in my region. I can't really do much to change what's going on around me in my region, so it's mostly just watching how bad things are getting and managing things. Everything's okay. Is it time to get out of Dodge yet? But other than that, it's just I'm looking for anybody who will dial back the kinetic war tensions. I want a peace candidate. Domestic policy is never going to please me. If you get a couple of good judicial picks here and there, if you're able to give Clarence Thomas a way to be replaced by an even younger, more originalist Clarence Thomas, then please, I'd be fine with that. But honestly, I'm just looking for a peace candidate. And everything else, I know nobody's going to live up to my standards domestically, so that's it. But he says, my only conviction, which remains unchanged, is that there will be no election. And that there has been no constitution in effect for several years. The body is in coma on life support, only artificially alive. The Zionists won, but might collapse from corruption, just as the Soviet system did. The culture war castrated the society. So what do you do with a population, half of which is castrated and zombified? Oh, well, that's a question. What do you do? And he says, lastly, on Trump, he's a work in progress. He must have learned from his experiences. He will die trying, it's apparent now, and make a historic mark. He opened Pandora's box, and God is working through him. How much of that do you vibe with? Call on in 914-369-1236. Shake and Bake, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Oh, hey, Frank. How you doing?
I'm doing
It's
well.
Shake and Bake.
I guess. I said Shake and Bake, you're on the air. Good to have you back.
Yeah. Yeah, so I want to start out, I don't know how much time you have left, but my father fell out of a tree stand a couple of years ago. He's 68 now, so he must have been 63, 64 now. And to make a very long story short, he felt that because when he fell, he broke his hip, he hit his head on a rock, and he managed to, get back to his truck without any pain and, get himself to medical care. And he's told me over the years, as he's told the story to me, that, he, being a spiritual man, that he's being looked after. So my thought with what happened on Saturday was that Donald Trump, which you could make the argument that he's being looked after because, just as we've been talking about, just millimeters away from having the right side of his head destroyed. So, but also in regarding to the poll, I voted on the option that, as you've said many times, repeatedly, there hasn't been any correction or adjustments to the voting laws, particularly in Pennsylvania. So I don't know if this...
Hold on. Oh, man. And now my camera's out. Great. Okay, well, The power went out. The power went out over here at the studio. And you may be able to hear me. The whole building went out. I'm just here listening to Shake and Bake talk, and suddenly the whole room is dark. And that's what happens on a really hot night. So I don't know who's watching, and you can't see me anymore. I don't know. Let me see. Let me try to unplug and give me a second. Hold on. Frank cam. Boom. Anything? Nothing. All right. Well, listen, here's what we're going to do. We're just going to go radio style. That's it.
Scientists were able to mimic Nessie Amun's voice by recreating his mouth and vocal cords with a 3D printer. It allowed them to produce a single sound.
I'm gay. You think he's gone? He's not gone. That's the whole point. He's never gone. You see?
Welcome to Perpetual Health Minute, brought to you by, quite frankly, misrepresentations of health risks by the mass media. Yep, I know, the media is at it again. Let me read to you directly from this 2008 paper. In the United States, SARS and bioterrorism killed fewer than a dozen people in 2003, but together generated over 100,000 media reports. Almost 800,000 people die each year from the consequences of smoking and physical inactivity, but these trigger far less media attention. So this paper is telling you that there is an inverse relationship between the amount of death and the amount of media coverage. And if that isn't enough to convince you, let me read to you the words of Thomas Jefferson from 1807. Nothing can now be believed which is seen in the newspaper. I rest my case. If you like this video, please follow the new Perpetual Health Rumble channel. You can also find us at perpetualhealth.substack.com. But for now, thank you so much for watching. Back to the show.
You're listening to Quite Frankly.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. Hello, everybody. Well, I don't know what to tell you. It's just me. Let me see. What pictures can I put up? There you go. How about Rico? How about this? Just pretend this is me for a little while. Rico! They sucked his brains out. You know, this is actually really cozy that you guys can't see me. I'm completely naked. It's just, I said to hell with it. I'm just going nude. All right, let's take a call. Hello, 570. I'm naked. Who is this?
You're naked, Frank?
Wait a second. I can't hear you. What the hell's going on here? Are you speaking into the... Are you there?
Directly into the phone. Hello, brother. Hello.
Hold on. I don't know why I can't hear him.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
No, you sound like you're 10,000 miles away. Say something now.
Hello, Frank.
All
Can
right.
you hear me, Frank?
Okay, you're back. Go ahead. Who the hell are you?
Frank, I'm so glad I got through. Listen, it doesn't surprise me at all that these cocksuckers want less Christians looking after kids because there's less of a chance that they're going to abuse the kids, Frankie. Okay? All right, listen, if I was king, maybe that's kind of something that I would say, these fucking cocksuckers over here. Okay?
I see that you're conjuring a character here. Okay, a good point on the adoption services. What else you got for me?
Well, listen, Frank, the real reason I called in is you've got a Pennsylvania resident here, okay? And I'm calling as a representative of this diabolically corrupt state we have here. It is awful, terrible. So I can't tell you, I'm not terribly surprised that this would be the state that would be chosen for an assassination attempt on Donald Trump. It's terrible. I mean, look back at the JFK assassination. Where did that take place? It took place in Texas. At the time, a state that was very friendly to the corrupt powers that be in Washington, D.C. They wanted it in Texas because they could control the law enforcement response, and they did just that in the days and the weeks to come. Well, where is very friendly to the current regime in Washington, D.C. in 2024? Well, that would be under Governor Josh Shapiro in this awful, corrupt state of Pennsylvania that I live in. All right.
Yeah.
They are going to do this. And this happened like right above Pittsburgh, over there near Allegheny County, where a lot of the fraud was in 2020. So shocker, they're trying to control the law enforcement response, and any investigation that comes out of the law enforcement out there in Western Pennsylvania. And from the joke of an FBI office out there in Pittsburgh, it's going to be a total snow job cover-up job, Frank.
You know,
Guaranteed.
it's not a bad thought. Honestly, it's not crazy. It's right. They've been very busy little bees over there in your state, and this is just, I don't know. It's just so glaring, and especially for an event of such high cultural importance. The mistakes that were made were ridiculous. It makes you wonder if they were mistakes at all. And I appreciate you calling in.
Total clown show.
Were you anywhere?
Total clown show.
Anywhere near Butler, or somebody that was there?
No, I don't. I'm in northeastern Pennsylvania. I'm like about 10 minutes away from the New York border, Narrowsburg, New York, in your neck of the woods. Well,
Okay.
Relatively speaking.
Yes. Okay. Well, listen, I appreciate your call, my friend, and I hope you call in more often.
Oh, I will try to, Frank. And also don't forget Joe Biden. Hey, he's a criminal. I don't doubt at all that he might have had something to do with this. Hey, look the other way. Hey, Josh Shapiro, make sure they ain't doing anything. Frank, have a great night. God bless all the Franklies out there.
Thank you. God bless you too. And I'll be honest. I swear to God, I would not be. There's nothing about Joe Biden and his known associates, and everything he's been involved in over the last however many decades. But I would not be surprised, as a guy who we see that there's some pretty deep desire to make him go away. I wouldn't. There's something about that draws me to that line of thought. All right, 914-369-1236. Couple more. Megan, how are you?
Hello. Hi. Is this Frank?
Yes, it is. Who's this? Megan?
Hey. I was wondering, what do you think?
Wait, I can't hear you. You sound like
You read that book?
You sound like an alien. I can't hear you.
All right. Can you hear me now?
I can. Go ahead.
All right. Have you read Lord of the Flies?
Not since high school.
All right, but you understand the book?
Yes.
I feel like sometimes that's what we're going through.
Yeah, it would feel that way. It just becomes a savage exercise in politics. It's just crazy. Of course, we're not, and it also there's a pretty good analogy there for the children, because there is no real adult-like behavior going on here. It's just it's nuts.
It was really surreal going into work today, feeling like the whole attempt is downplayed, and I feel like it should be kind of sad or somber feeling.
Mm-hmm.
But like, you can't really talk about it because it's politics. But at the same time, if he was killed, we would have been able to talk about it, right?
Oh yes. Here's what it is. It's crazy that you bring it up, because I feel I'm making a lot of observations on certain websites and social media platforms. I know it's not real life, but you are able to observe massive amounts of people. Many of them are confirmed real people. You have to think that some of it is just astroturfed, non-human responses. But outside, I mean, since Saturday, I know that on Saturday, I got the news when I was leaving a party, and we haven't really been that, mingling out there as well. But there's no mention anywhere. Nobody's talking about it. Not around me. When I went to church on Sunday morning, I brought Aurora to church for the 7:30 mass. And I was wondering during the intentions what we were, if anybody was going to say anything about, Donald Trump and healing, so that tensions and de-escalation. I feel like everybody around in real life has been just holding their breath, especially those who are center left. And I live around a lot of lefties or people who are just lefties just because it's just automatic. It's their like family programming. They're not ideologically engaged in anything. They can't talk philosophically about anything. They just know that what team they root for and what color the flag is. But it's been very, very quiet. Nobody mentions anything. It's like this pregnant silence. Everybody knows it happened, but they don't want to say anything. And I did wonder if this clipped the back of his skull and his brains fell out and he's dead. Yeah. What would there be something said then? What? It's just like that whole idea of if you're gonna try to shoot the king, you better not miss. I feel like so many people are just like, oh shit, they tried and they missed. Let's just stay quiet. I don't know.
Did you hear Tom McDonald threw out a new song, a new release? It was good. But a lot of the memes that are coming out, it's just obviously it's just going to amp it up. And I hope he does understand that even though there's a lot of people out there that are talking chaotic at both ends, I hope Trump does realize that was scary for a lot of us. See that he almost got hurt as close as he did. But the next day he's just out at the golf course.
Again, well, I understand. Thank you for the call, Megan. Thank you for the call. And I have to every so often bring back up again. Anybody that he could have gotten it. He could have gotten it. But you know what? Somebody 27 years his junior with 2 20-year-old daughters lost a father. I can't. That's what I'm thinking about the most. That's what I'm thinking about the most. If God forbid, that would have been successful in them taking out Donald Trump. Oh, it would have been a world. It would have been sad, just again because there's another life lost. It would have been a very high profile execution. There would have been a lot of fallout. They would have gotten every wish that they had wanted. The RNC can go and pick whoever they want. They can honor Donald's memory, but they can put somebody out there who's going to be completely obedient and only just it's ridiculous. But I can't stop thinking about the 2 girls that lost their father, a 50-year-old man. This is not a whoa, we dodged a bullet moment there. Donald Trump is going to be out of the picture in 4 years anyway. And then it's just you and I again. It's you and I in 4 years saying, where do we go from here? So we should already know where we're going from here, even without Donald Trump's presence, because there is going to be no Donald Trump presence very, very soon. 4 years is not a lot of time. And then he's retired. I'm sure he'll, for as long as he's alive and willing and able, he'll be out there as a, to be a kingmaker and to push his brand a little bit more. But that Saturday was not as close of a call. There was it's still horrible, and it could have been a lot worse. That's true, but to those 2 girls, the world doesn't even fucking matter right now. Oh man, I tell you, over the weekend I got some horrible news about a friend of mine from college. On Friday night, I realized I saw this thing. I haven't spoken to this woman. We're all 40 years old. I haven't spoken to her in 20 years, but she was such a good friend of mine in college. Just a really nice girl. And she wanted to get married and had 3 children. She just had her 3rd child about a year ago, and she died of a very, very aggressive form of cancer just a few days ago on July 8th. And I'm thinking about those 3 kids. I'm thinking about a husband without a wife and those 3 and then I think about politics. I'm just like, oh man, to hell with the whole world when that is what you're dealing with. So I understand that this has really, really big implications for us as a country, but I can't help to get drawn back to that the lives that were ruined, in this. And of course, it makes the close call pale in comparison, even though the close call in itself, what a mess. What a mess. And all the answers that we need, even crazier. Think about all the questions without answers and the implications of that. And we're still like, what, 4.5, 5 months out? Good God. Anyway, 8:51. Let's take a couple more calls. Let's see here. 417, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, what's going on? It's Vern.
Just chilling, waiting for you to tell me what's on your mind.
Well, I was my sister showed me a post by James O'Keefe. He's deleted it now, but he gave the shooter's name, and then he gave his father's name and said that he was a counselor for behavioral hospital or something like that. Now, doesn't that make a little bit of strange sense?
You're talking about you're saying that he was a psychologist, because I heard that there was some, outside of the BlackRock connection, there were some other strange, organizational connections there with the family. Yeah. That's what it was. That's what it was. I didn't know the details on it.
But it wasn't with BlackRock. It was the shooter's father is a counselor for behavioral, like a behavioral hospital or something like that.
Okay.
And James O'Keefe had it out there. She's got a screenshot of it, but it's been pulled down. So, James, I don't think he's going to put anything out there unless he was pretty sure. But it might have turned up false. And
why? Because you haven't. Because
that's why he pulled it.
He hasn't. Oh, so he pulled it.
Yeah, he pulled it.
All right.
It's not up there now.
And did he say anything about why he did? Usually when people of his status delete something that they floated out there, they'll say why they did. Any kind of follow up to that?
I have not heard. My sister, I don't use Facebook or any of that. The only one I ever email is you, Frank. So it's been a while since I talked to you. But all I know is that post was there. I just read it a while back, and then it was taken down. So
okay,
I just thought that was kind of strange that they got a shooter up there that's MK Ultra. That makes sense to me.
Again, like I said, and thank you for the call. When you talk about MK Ultra, it's just it's a cultural norm at this point. That protocol has been adopted by everybody, and as I've pointed out with school shootings in Florida or wherever the hell this stuff happens, whether it be, it's just the same old fact patterns over and over again. And when society is set up to pretty much, when society is programmed to mass produce tragedy, then it's really just a matter of how is your media going to cover it? What situations are the media going to be apologetic for? What other situations are they going to ignore altogether? What are they going to use and put out there to attack and project? That's just really what it is. I'm sure that there's a lot of technology out there that can take a loner, can take a person and just force them into a situation to go and act compelled by seemingly, unseen forces from beyond. But there is also the reality that our society is now set up to mass produce psychos, random acts of violence that the media can have their pick any day of the week. Any day of the week, if they need something to obsess about and something to inflate, any molehill to turn into a mountain, they have their pick. I mean, it's a country of hundreds of millions of people, so that's always going to be the case. But just think about the culture. It's always that. All right. Well, listen, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I have for you tonight. We only have 5 minutes left, but I've been kind of screwed technologically because the power went out. So let me make sure that I do not miss any of the super chats. Car Guys New England just left one over here. Let me get up the pilled as well. This is going to screw a lot of things up. The only thing that I'm happy about is that the YouTube will pick up where it left off, so I'll be able to download that in its entirety. And and maybe just like upload that across the board, because I download and I record all of my shows right here locally on the computer. And of course, when the power goes out, that's lost. It's one thing if the internet goes out, but we haven't had an internet outage in what feels like years. So this sucked. It's because of the heat. It's just incredibly hot. It's incredibly humid. It will not break. This used to be the kind of weather that we would get in mid to late August. The humidity, the swampiness came in with all the bugs, and this is just how it has been all summer. I feel like there's a wet blanket over us, and I was talking with Rob about it over the weekend. It doesn't break. It's like we'll have days on end. Sometimes there'll be 2-3 days at a time where the clouds just hang over us and it won't release. It just won't release. It's just so strange. Let's see here. Car Guys New England says, I heard the shooter didn't bring his own vehicle to the scene of the rally. There must have been a driver. Well, I'll keep an eye out for any follow-up on that as well. Jay Britt says, Frank, heavy subject tonight. Thanks for bringing it up for reflection. God, please save these hardened hearts. Yeah, we'll get into that. We'll have a little bit more. If you guys have anything you want to submit to the show to ask Harrison Smith tomorrow, just get in touch with me. I would love to. I'd love to talk to you guys and gals about that. Let's see. Over on pill.net, let's go to our gold pills, shall we? First one up is Sean Joe. Thank you for that. Sean Joe gifted a 1-month bronze tier subscription. And guess what? Lone Yukon claimed it. I would like to just call attention to that. Another reason to go watch on quitefrankly.tv or pill.net is that there are always people gifting 1-month subscriptions in the chat room. 1-month subscriptions, 2, 3, 6-month subscriptions sometimes. It doesn't matter if it's bronze, silver, or gold. Any of those subscriptions, if you claim any of those, then you are able to go and be a part of the Sunday streams. You're a part of all the book clubs. I mean, Yukon over there just claimed a 1-month subscription, and that's going to get him through half of August. That means that he can read half of Never-Ending Story with us. So for those of you out there who are like, I'd like to be a sponsor, but I can't handle $5 a month right now or whatever, $7, whatever the tiers are, there's always a way to grab a subscription there just so you can see all the wonderful extra content that we're creating. And also soon, in the first week of August, is going to be the inaugural edition of the Quite Frankly Bulletin. It's the newsletter that's going to be going out there. We have a lot of great stuff I'm excited about. The whole team is. So consider that. You can always pick up sponsorships that are just floating around. All right, Tomcat, thank you. Stephen and Lori, thank you. For the person who thought that they saw Terrence Williams. Oh, yeah, it was not Terrence Williams. It wasn't. I looked into that afterwards, and it was not. Joe Elaine, thank you. Val Hall, Sean Joe. Clin, or C. Lynn. Thank you, Val Hall again. Vesper says, God is Lord. And Sean Joe again. I'm going to release the scratch in there, and I hope to see you guys tomorrow hanging out with us at 7 o'clock. What else do I have? Oh, of course, I don't know if we're back on the air on Rumble after we were bounced off, but I have to imagine that I lost track of. Let me see. Are we still live? I don't know if we're back on the air on Rumble. Yeah, we are. Okay, so 925 Wild G, but anybody else that sent us a Rumble rant, I wasn't able to read because of the damn power outage, and I don't think Rumble holds them anywhere. I have to ask my friend at Rumble. See what the hell's going on there. All right, guys and gals, I appreciate you. Thank you for hanging out. We'll start leveling out the talk tomorrow. It was just, it seems silly to come on air tonight and do anything but this, just to get it out of our system and get all the foundation laid for where we go next, because obviously there's a long ways to go. All right? Thank you, guys. Thank you, gals, for everything, and I'll talk to you soon. Good night.
I'll catch you on the flip side.
Will you shut up?
No.